For a long time, scientists have been working to confirm the existence of other life forms in the universe, until one day in 1982, members of a Norwegian research team discover something that could change the course of history. To investigate the matter, Dr. Sander Halvorsen and his research assistant, Adam Finch, recruit paleontologist Kate Lloyd to join a Norwegian scientific team. The geological research station in Antarctica named Thule has a recent discovery about a structure and a specimen. Dr. Sander expresses the utter need to have a paleontologist that can extract specimens from a block of ice, so they come to get Kate on board. Despite not knowing sufficient information about the nature of the study, Kate agrees to join the team. The next day, they ride the H-3 Sea King helicopter headed to Antarctica. When the team finally arrives at the Thule Station, they waste no time and head straight to the ground of their scientific exploration. The newly arrived scientists then meet with Edvard Wolver, the scientist leading the discovery, and with him are the geologists Carl and Juliet. They escort them toward the unearthed structure, and soon enough, the scientists come to see a crashed extraterrestrial spaceship buried beneath the ice of Antarctica. Afterward, they climb back to the surface and see the frozen body of a creature that appears to have survived the crash 100,000 years ago. Later that night, Kate discusses the preparations for moving the unknown creature with the other Norwegian scientists. She also meets with the team and tries to learn their names, including Peter, then Lars, the one who cannot understand English words, together with his dog. The next day, some team members excavate the body in a block of ice and transport it back to the Thule Station. While the team is busy studying it, Dr. Sander and Edvard enter the room, where the former demands to retrieve a tissue sample from the creature inside the ice. Kate tries to protest the appropriateness of the idea, but Dr. Sander just ignores her and later tells her never to contradict him in front of their team again. In order to get a small tissue sample from the creature, they use a drill bit to go through the thick block of ice, slightly drilling the surface of the creature's body. While everyone is relaxing in the recreation room that night, Dr. Sander enters and asks for everyone's attention. He announces the possibility of a breakthrough, and he has never seen any organism possessing the same cellular structure as the one they discovered. The team then proceeds to celebrate the good news, and while the others are drinking or talking, the co-pilot, Derek, goes to check the room where the creature is being kept. He leans forward to take a good look at it when Peter enters to scare him. Derek gets startled, and as he's about to follow Peter outside, the unknown creature, or thing, escapes from the ice block. He runs off to alert everyone about the incident, yet no one seems to believe him at first. But looking at his reaction, they all rush to the room and find a shattered ice block. The team then decides to split into groups to find the thing. As they are outside, some scientists find that Lars' dog has been ravaged, seemingly by the thing. Meanwhile, Olav and Henrik are finally able to spot it hiding under one of the houses. When Henrik starts shouting, the thing stabs him from the back using its tentacle and pulls him into its body, leaving blood on Olav's face. Then, the others also rush to the scene upon hearing Olav's cries for help. Some of the men try to gun down the thing, but it just persists, so they resort to setting the house on fire, eventually burning the thing. Even after what happened, the team has no choice but to continue the study. A few members of the team, including Kate and Adam, carry out the autopsy of the creature's remains. Later, the result leads the two to discover that the cells of the thing are absorbing and imitating Henrik's cells. Kate soon walks out of the lab and sees other team members in the hallway. Carter, Derek, and Griggs are now preparing to board the helicopter to send Olav to a medical facility, seeming to be traumatized from what happened. When the men are just about to take off, Kate discovers discarded metal tooth fillings and large amounts of blood in the shower. Fearing that the thing may have infected or imitated someone on board, she hurriedly runs outside to flag down the departing helicopter. Just when Carter decides to land, Griggs transforms into the thing and changes into Olav. This causes the helicopter to spin out of control and crash in the mountains, presumably ending the lives of everyone on board. Back at the station, the team desperately tries to contact the emergency channel for help, but the radio no longer gets a signal. This only adds to the station's current problem, especially with the impending storm. Then, the situation even worsens when Kate discovers that the shower's been cleaned. Hence, when Edvard instructs some of the men to transfer to the closest base, Kate bravely objects to his command. She argues that it might be a bad idea, especially since they are unsure of what they are dealing with. To make them understand, Kate tells everyone about what she and Adam discovered, the creature's ability to replicate any life form. Kate displays the tooth fillings as proof, explaining that the unknown thing spat them out because it couldn't imitate inorganic materials. Most of the team members seem to find Kate's revelation ridiculous. Edvard instantly dismisses the conversation and commands the others to proceed as planned. Right after everyone leaves the room, Juliet approaches Kate, suggesting that she believes her. In fact, Juliet has seen Colin leave the shower while holding a towel. In an attempt to stop people from leaving, Juliet leads Kate to a room where the snowcat keys are hidden. As Kate tries to retrieve the keys, Juliet transforms into the monstrous thing and starts to lunge from behind her. Kate rushes to go outside, then runs past Carl in the hallway. However, the latter is so slow to react until the thing finally gets to him. Without any device to end the creature, Kate can only watch as it pounces on Carl. Luckily, the others hear the commotion and come to her rescue. Lars brings a flamethrower and uses it to burn the thing. Afterward, the remaining team members gather outside to burn the remains of the still unknown creature. They start to discuss how to resolve the problem at hand and eventually reach an agreement to quarantine themselves until the threat is over. Dr. Sander and Adam volunteer to take and test everyone's blood samples, while Lars and Kate move to disable all the vehicles. Then, Lars shows Kate a crate containing grenades. Moments after Lars and Kate have finished their job, two people from the plane crash, Carter and Derek, stagger back to the station. With suspicions that they might be infected, some of the team members react to burn them right away, but Kate negotiates to lock them in isolation first until they can run some tests on them. In the lab, Adam and Dr. Sander prepare the things they need for the test. However, when they both leave for a short time, the lab bursts into flames, indicating sabotage. Once they put out the fire, tensions arise in the room as they start to accuse each other, prompting Kate to propose doing a much simpler test. She explains that they may be able to identify who is who by inspecting everyone's teeth fillings. To recall, the creature or the thing cannot replicate tooth fillings, so those who do not have them may be a potential risk. Kate then proceeds to inspect the teeth of all the team members with a flashlight to see who has fillings and who doesn't, also showing them hers. After checking everyone's mouth, they are able to single out Adam, Dr. Sander, Edvard, and Colin. To uphold fairness, Kate also wants to check Carter and Derek's teeth, sending Lars and Jonas to bring them back to the room. However, when they arrive at the storage shed where the two are isolated, Lars and Jonas find a hole in the floor and realize they must have gone into the next building. Lars tries to follow them, but as soon as he nears the place, he is instantly pulled inside. Jonas returns to the unit where the others are and begs Peter to assist him in rescuing Lars, but Kate sternly orders Peter to stand guard and keep his eyes on the identified potential things. As the remaining members continue to argue and point fingers at each other, Carter and Derek force their entry into the building while bringing Lars' gun and flamethrower. Assuming that the two have killed Lars, Edvard commands Peter to burn them. Peter is torn on what to do, but he eventually decides to aim the flamethrower toward the two. In order to defend themselves, Derek guns down Peter. This punctures Peter's fuel tank, causing an explosion that knocks Edvard unconscious. While being carried back to the recreation room, Edvard awakens and surprisingly transforms into the thing. Unaware of the sudden transformation, Jonas is quickly infected by Edvard's distorted arm. As things turn into chaos, Dr. Sander and Colin selfishly flee from the room, while everyone else tries to contain the thing. Unfortunately, the flamethrower that Carter holds malfunctions, and their slow response to the situation ends up with Derek being attacked. At the same time, it allows Edvard to assimilate Adam's body and escape. On the other hand, Kate picks up the flamethrower and starts burning the bodies of the infected team members. She soon teams up with Carter, and they head off together to hunt down the thing, which has now taken the form of both Edvard and Adam's faces. However, after the monster attacks Dr. Sander, it also manages to separate Carter from Kate and traps the former in the kitchen. Luckily, Kate is able to immediately find them and starts torching the monster just when it is about to infect Carter. Once again, Kate and Carter go outside to burn the remains of the thing. Later on, they spot an infected Dr. Sander driving off in one of the snowcats. The two argue a bit on whether to follow Dr. Sander or not, but Kate firmly tells Carter that they should stop him from causing more trouble. Before leaving the station, Kate picks up grenades and other essentials. Soon after, they find the snowcat at the location of the discovered spaceship. When they go down, they notice that the extraterrestrial vessel is restarting and slowly preparing for takeoff. The two run quickly to escape the opening sections of the vessel, but Kate falls inside the spaceship, separating her again from Carter. Kate tries to search for the thing inside the vast vessel until she finally encounters it again. Unable to fight it head-on, she runs toward a narrow space where the thing cannot enter. After a while, Carter finds the thing ready to devour Kate after pulling her from the narrow space, but Kate is able to successfully throw a grenade into the creature's mouth. Then, the two quickly run from the scene, away from the explosion. Finally, Carter and Kate are able to safely get back to the snowcat, but as the two prepare to leave, Kate confronts Carter about how she knows he is no longer human. She says when he returned to their base after the helicopter crashed, she noticed his earring. Trying to disprove Kate, Carter touches his ear, but instead of touching the left ear, he touches the right one. Kate wastes no time and burns Carter, causing him to wail just like the thing. Then, Kate tirelessly climbs up on another snowcat, and she is never seen again. The next morning, a Norwegian helicopter pilot, Matthias, arrives at the Norwegian camp and finds it in ruins. After taking a look at the remains of the two-faced thing, he shouts to look for the remaining survivors. It's finally revealed that after fleeing from the recreation room, Colin went inside the radio room and slit his throat and wrists to ensure that the thing would not infect him. Surprisingly, Lars fires at Matthias and comes out unharmed from the building where he was last seen being grabbed by Derek and Carter. Unsure of Matthias' identity, Lars demands to see his tooth fillings. Soon after, Lars sees his dog running out from the ruins and immediately shoots the animal, knowing it has become the thing. The two use the helicopter to follow the dog, and while Matthias maneuvers the helicopter, Lars begins shooting at the dog from above.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.